Many Westerners don't understand Chinese culture. So they make very shallow analysis and then make dogmatic declarations. Bawal, bawal, bawal. Mali yun. If a young man goes to church, he goes into the chapel, the pastor says stand, he stands. Pastor says sit down, he sits down. Pastor says pray, he prays. Pastor says let's sing, he sings. Pastor says here's a sermon, he listens. Did he worship?
For our two boksu, how can we remain honoring our parents, or in your case, our husbands, even if we have to say no? Is it something bad? Do we become disrespectful pag sinabi natin na gabobe, pai pai lo, gabobe, soy huay lo, gabobe, kwa hong sui lo? Maybe Boksu David, you would like to start?
Some years ago, there was a couple. They are Christians, but the family is not Christian. So during the funeral rites, all of them has to make pai. And then I remember taking the ashes to another floor in sanctuarium ko, where that's the final rites. So they didn't know what to do because everybody goes to the remains and they have this traditional Chinese ritual, which is not really Buddhism, because that's not anything to do with Buddhism. It's just Chinese culture. No? So they have to do that. So they asked me, what should we do? It's very important for us to remember that we cannot say no and then present nothing. They go to show their filial piety. How soon? By burning incense, by bowing. So what do? Do we simply says no? Wala na. If that, you will be interpreted as puthaw, dishonoring your ancestor. You're not a filial son or filial daughter-in-law. Minus points lahat yan.
Yes.
So for me, I feel that you cannot just say no and have no alternative. So my advice to them was, when it's your turn, you too go to the remains there, and then you stay there in silence. You can pray with thanksgiving for the good things your father has done for you. Pwede yun. Whatever you do, you stay there. And you have to stay there longer than any one of them. Kung siya 60 seconds, ikaw 120. Kung doon may 2 minutes, ikaw 4 minutes. Stay longer there. Be quiet for a long time. And then they will interpret that as how soon. So it's very important when you say no, hindi pwedeng walang a substitute. There has to be something to express the heart of a member of the household. Otherwise, parang you already turn your back on your family. Now, for many Chinese, when they do the ancestral rites,
Yes.
not in the Buddhist temple, not in the Taoist temple, ancestral rites lang, grandfather or great-grandfather or father, mother, that no. For many of them, they don't actually believe in the afterlife. They do it out of traditional practice because that's the standard way to show your filial piety.
Yes.
So for them, it's culture lang. So if you ask them, kanat yo ke xiu pao kanat yo ke, ke zi ikong para iu tang jia. Don't take that seriously. Because kau lobe, dili jia Kana di kay jia lo, kaya baka ibinabilay jia Go. For them, it's just an expression kong gunya xiao diam di ko tiang pai ko soyhan di tiana hoa jia. So now you're old di bo nang waka di pipan ko. But they don't actually believe in that. So don't assume they believe in that. It's unfair to them. Some of them do it because that's how everybody else kasi na si ane piao si lahat. So ganun na rin kami para sang. So for every case, we have to ask them kung lan ka na aniya.
Why are you doing it?
And then we need to have a substitute. We need to do something. So ina ukyang ngemi kyati hiya, then maybe you can go there, and just silently stay there to show reverence for our ancestor, papa, si ankong, si ama, ani ko. You have to have some kind of substitute. If a young man goes to church, he goes into the chapel, the pastor says stand, he stands. Pastor says sit down, he sits down. Pastor says pray, he prays. Pastor says let's sing, he sings. Pastor says here's a sermon, he listens. Did he worship? He did everything the pastor said. Did he worship? Meron ba o wala?
Depends.
Depends on the heart.
Sige nga, paano depends? Sige. Che.
Yeah, it depends if he was really listening with his heart and then parang, trying to understand the word of God, ganyan. And yeah, the position of the heart is
Yeah.
yun.
Actually, he went there kasi ile diyaw hiya si de duwe lang.
Parang evangeligaw sa'yo.
He's after a girl. So he does everything. Now, this is the other side of the story. Back to the question. Did he worship?
Baka hindi.
He attended a worship service, but he did not worship God. He doesn't even believe in Him. Tama? So, hindi lang yung exterior, not just the behavior. This one counts.
Yes.
Kahit na yung behavior tama lahat, kung pretend kasi mali dito, lahat not counted. Tama?
Yes.
Okay. Now, why do they make paypay to the ancestor? You have to think, bakit? Is it culture or is it religion? If it's just culture, it's okay. That's how they express their filial heart now. But in the 19th century, the Protestant missionaries in China cannot distinguish between ancestor worship and Buddha worship. Kasi when you go to the temple, what do? Tiam hiu pai pai. You go to the ancestral shrine, what do? Tiam hiu pai pai. For them, it's the same. For us, it's not. Yung isa religion, yung isa culture. So you need to understand your family members. Are they doing it because of culture? Or is it because of religion? That they actually believe the ancestors are somewhere. If you don't offer the food, they're gonna be hungry and miserable. Do they believe that? If they don't, it's just culture. So para sa akin, culture, it's okay. Some people says, you cannot bow to the dead. Bow. Because, in traditional China, you bow to your parents, you bow to your teacher, and then you bow to the emperor. And then when your ancestors are dead, you go to the ancestral shrine and you bow. So you do it to both the living and the dead. Tama? Why? Because that's etiquette. Bow sila courtesy.
It's a
not
sign of
worship.
respect,
It's not
yeah.
worship. So if you look at, many years ago in Siu Tai, they say, 3 bows to Sun Yat-sen, founder of Republic of China. They don't pray to him. Para sa kanila, bow is just respect. Now, some missionary says, but you cannot bow to the dead. Why? They're not there. It's just his picture. It's culture lang. That's how we greet one another. When Westerners meet each other, they greet by shaking hands.
Shaking of hands.
When Chinese meet each other in imperial times, what do? Bow. It's called distancing.
Especially after
Yeah,
COVID. No?
after bow. Tama. Stop. Bow. COVID. So that's just Chinese way of greeting. But many Westerners don't understand Chinese culture. So they make very shallow analysis and then make dogmatic declarations. Bawal, bawal, bawal. Mali yun. Hindi ganon. So we need to distinguish. Some of our relatives are doing that out of hausun and cultural. They don't believe that, baka nang biap cha bokaw. ko dagdag ko. Ay, buwit so na tampo yung ngayon, vitamin C. Buo naman eh. It's just a ritual to express, we remember our ancestors. They fed us. So now we want to make sure they're not hungry. Ganun lang. But if they really believe that if I need to go to ask the Buddhist monk to chant so that his spirit, chow to, and go to the next level, eventually, move away from the dark cycle of reincarnation and end their sufferings, physical, earthly suffering, then religion na yan. No? But everyone is different. So don't assume that they believe in a full religious system behind the ritual. Yung iba, ritual lang. Then after that, wala na. Di na siya si Behao, di siya ito, hao kuy pai po chidit, sapay ah. Kam si cha chan dio chia, kau di tao yaw, kam do ko hao chpai. Amin do ko hao ah. Am do kuy di le hao, lo be iti hao lo. You know what I mean, no? So distinguish between culture and religion. I believe many contemporary Chinese families, it's just culture. No? So don't attack it too much. You just show a different way of hausun expression. No? And I think most of them, if they're reasonable, they will accept it. No? So don't just say no. Always an alternative.
Thank you for joining us today in our discussion. We hope we were able to enlighten you in some of the issues you are currently facing. If you have comments or suggestions, please drop us a note in the comments section. We would also like to take this opportunity to invite all of you to come join us and worship every Sunday here at Jubilee Evangelical Church. We have English services at 8:30 a.m. and 10:30 a.m., Amoy service at 10:30 a.m., Taglish service at 3 p.m., and you can also join us online through our Facebook and YouTube channels at 3 p.m. For more details, you may also check our website at jec.com.ph. We hope to see you again in our next episode here at Common Ground. May God bless us all.